Hello, welcome to Good Day Gardening. I am your host Jacqueline Rhea and this is my garden. Today I'm going to talk about my micro and drip irrigation system. Many years ago when I moved into this house, my whole front yard was either grass or palm trees. I don't particularly care for palm trees, especially by themselves, and grass is just a pain to mow, so I started taking out all the grass. I took out all the palm trees and started planting in flowering plants that I really enjoy. And of course they need water, and there was no in-ground irrigation system. So I had to install an irrigation system on my own. And I don't particularly care for PVC pipes and pop-up heads and things like that. They waste water, they're not... I didn't want to go through all the hassle of installing them. So instead I found a system, it's called Mr. Landscaper. And there's a couple of different systems. I've kind of hybridized between Mr. Landscaper and the Rainbird version of the drip system, which they call, I think, Rain Drip or something along those lines. I use components of both systems, but mainly when I first set it up, it was just the Mr. Landscaper. You can purchase that at Lowe's. Lowe's, I think, has exclusive rights to purchasing it, last I heard. I don't know if that's still true, but I know you can still get it there. That's where I always purchase my parts. I'm going to start here. This is the spigot that controls the water flow to my front yard, and I'm going to show you how it's controlled up here at the spigot, and then I'll go through the two sides of the systems I have because they're good for showing the two different ways in which I've used it. Okay, so let me bring you in and we'll get started. Okay, it's a little kind of dark to see. I got a little shadow from my rain barrel here working on the system. Okay, so this is the spigot, and this is really the only downside to this entire way of doing irrigation, is that it depends on having a spigot. And if there, I can't really guarantee anything in life, but if there is one thing that I would say I can guarantee, is that no matter what you do, you're gonna have a leak coming out of your spigot somewhere. The whole system, I don't know. I've never been able to truly fix, if I, look, I got a leak right here, and it's coming from somewhere in here. I've never been able to get a fully leak-proof system working 100% of the time. Now, this was leak-proof for quite a while, and now it's just, the leak actually just started 2 weeks ago, I want to say I noticed it. Actually, not even that long ago. I think it was just a week. I noticed this leak, and so now I'm going to have to address this leak. Now, when it was leaking up here, I addressed it by using the plumber's tape, which is the little Teflon tape right up here that you see. I also put in a quick connect connector, and that helped stop the leak up here. Okay, but now I got a leak down here, so now I got to fix the leak down here. Chances are just the valve system is probably worn down. I've had it for quite a while, at least 3 years I want to say, so, and it's just now starting to leak, so I guess I can't really complain too much, but still, that is probably the biggest problem I have with this system, is just fixing the leaks. Okay, alright, so I have 4 valves here, because I wanted the option to be able to control 4 different zones. Now I'm using this one right here. This valve goes off to the south side of the front yard. This one I used, it's just connected to a regular hose with a hose end sprayer, just for like washing the vehicle or hand watering plants, or washing the dogs or whatever. It's just, this is just a regular connector, hose connector. This one I haven't used. I haven't done anything. I was actually gonna plan on using it because I've got to the north side of my house. I will eventually be redoing the landscape there, and I will probably install another drip irrigation tube for that side of the house. And then this one is actually the northeast side. I'm going to run down the line for this one. So you see kind of how the system works. Okay, so it starts out, you got your valve, turns on, turns off by turning this thing right here. Okay, this right here is actually a filter. Or is it the pressure? Might actually be the, it's not the filter, sorry. It's a pressure regulator. It reduces the pressure of your home watering system down to about 25 psi. I think normally it's 30 and upwards, but you want it down to about 25 psi for most drip irrigation systems. The filter is actually this part down here. There's a filter in here, so the pressure gets reduced. The water goes through a filter, cleans out anything that could be coming from your city water, and then the black tube all the way back here, this guy right here, gets connected, and this is a 1/2 inch tubing that you use to run your water to the areas where you need your water to be. So you run this 1/2 inch black tubing to your garden, and then you attach your drip irrigation or your micro sprinkler heads, whichever you decide to use, off of the 1/2 inch tubing. So this is just to move the water where you need it to go. And then I'll show you the section where it sprays the water where you need it to be. Okay, so you got your valves, okay, you got your pressure reducer, you have a filter, and then you have a 1/2 inch poly tubing and to get the water where you need to go. All right, so this is the 1/2 inch poly tubing that I was just showing you, and I have it running along the area. Now these are two micro-irrigation drip heads that I've installed that go to two of my landscape plants. Okay, but I have another setup to show you. So we're going to follow along. So this is pretty much the 1/2 inch tube taking the water where I need it to go. Now this was actually all buried. It naturally kind of buried itself into the ground over time, and I had to unbury it this morning so I could show you. Okay, so I have a little demonstration thing here that I want to show you. Okay, so I have this little demonstration here to set up to show you. And I'm half doing this for myself too, because I've never done this before, and I was always curious about it, but never saw it. Okay, so I have right here the two different types of drip heads that I have. This is actual drip tubing. The drip emitter's right here, so this is where the water comes out. Now these are regulated so that no matter how long the line is, they will all come out with an equal amount of water. This is extraordinarily important because I have 2, 3, 4 rows, whatever it is, of drip irrigation in my landscape, and they're at least 8 feet long. And I want to make sure that the plants that are 1 foot away from the 1/2 inch tubing are going to get the same amount of water as the plants that are 8 feet away from the 1/2 inch tubing. So it's very important that you understand that the drip emitters are regulated so that you get constant pressure at each emitter. Okay, this is not true if you use a soaker hose. Okay, this is the reason why I don't like soaker hoses for landscape watering situations. I have no problem using them for an individual plant. I have a problem using them for large landscapes because they don't have that pressure regulation. So you're going to end up with a lot of water up close to the source and then very little water at the end of that soaker hose, which is usually about 25 to 50 feet. So are usually about the sizes that you find. Okay, so I've got a drip emitter here. This is the regular drip tubing. And then in this guy, I have, this is a different type of, it's another drip head, but it's a little bit different. Usually this one you stick up here, the water comes out on all 3 sides. Now it's adjustable from 1 gallon per hour up to 10 gallons per hour. So this one, and all you have to do is twist off this head. Okay, so I mean, you're not going to take the head off, but that just shows you how far open it is. If you need to clean out the lines, you just take it off. Occasionally, that's some minor maintenance that you do have to do to the heads, but I really barely ever do it. Twisting it clockwise closes it, twisting it counterclockwise opens it. So I'm going to open it up just a little, so just a couple clicks. I'll stick that in there. This one's the same thing, but this one I'm going to have all the way open. Okay, so it's all the way off, and then I just twist it back on so that it's on there solid. Okay, so that should be maximum amount open. I'm going to keep them in that third cup, okay? So now what I'm going to do is basically these are just empty blue cups. And I have them half buried just to make it easy to hold them up so I don't have to worry about them falling over. And I'm going to run the system. I'm going to run the system for 10 minutes. And at the end of the 10 minutes, we're going to come back and we're going to see how much water is inside these cups, and we're going to measure it so we know in 10 minutes about how much water is coming out of the system, okay? So let me go turn it on, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I turned the system on. You can hear the water coming out. Alright, so I'll show you with this one. You can see the water's coming out. Oh, and let me set my timer. Alright, probably going to be just a little more than 10 minutes, but that's okay. Alright, so timer, 10 minutes. I'm going to hit start. Okay, so now we're going to see after we come back. Oh, see, now here's one problem. Remember that guy I have all the way open? Okay, that's the guy that's all the way open. Okay, the water's already flowing out, so that's not good. Alright, well, okay, so I guess what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and I'll turn this guy off. Okay, because we already know it's been 30 seconds and he has already filled up the cup. Alright, and see, this is how he sprays. And this is when he's all the way open. Okay, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's just about all the way closed. And so this is just about all the way closed. Oops. Now occasionally what happens, because I reuse these plugs all the time, right where these guys meet, occasionally it'll leak out. So see, you got the water coming out. All you have to do to fix that is just cut off this section and then just replug it in. Okay, that's all you have to do. And I'll show you what I mean by that when I go over the rest of the system, because I'll show you the barb that's in there. This is a 1/4-inch tubing. Okay, so you got the 1/2-inch tubing that moves the water to the area you need it in, and then you got the 1/4-inch tubing that moves the water to the dripper head or irrigation nozzle that you need the water to come out of. Okay, so 30 seconds filled up this cup. All right, and if we look at the second cup, okay, the second cup is now filled up, and it's been 1.5 minutes, okay? So the second cup filled up, and that's how much water is coming out in 1.5 minutes, all right? So 1.5 minutes, all right, now let's look at the third cup right here. This is the dripper tube, a significantly less amount of water, all right? So this is why you have to be careful when you mix the different systems. You want to choose which dripper head you're going to use appropriately. So if I have a plant that needs a lot of water, okay, it's in a big pot and it's a big plant and I need a lot of water in a short amount of time, then I'm going to go with one of these guys, okay? Now, if I have plants that really don't need a whole lot of water and will be fine with just a little bit over a period of time, then I go with the dripper heads, okay? And I'll show you on the other side how I kind of decided what I wanted. And, oops, I guess I forgot to turn this off. I forgot to turn this guy off. Okay. Alright, so now he's turned off because he filled up his cup. Alright, so we're just going to wait and see how long it takes for this third cup to fill up. In the meantime, I'll finish showing you what I did. Okay? So this is, again, that 1/2-inch tubing right here. Alright. So this is the 1/2-inch tubing that's moving the water where I need it to go. Alright, and it got buried. Okay, so it's going all the way over here. Now this is the area of my front yard where all my plants are. See, there's my salvia. Say hello, salvia. Okay, and I've got the bulbine and my gladiolus are doing great. And what I did, because when I originally set this system up, I did not have these types of plants here. It was originally set up to water 2 rows of creeping thyme. I was going to use creeping thyme as a ground cover. And so what I did is, whoops. So what I did, I got my 1/2-inch tube Okay, and then you get a coupler, which is this little guy right here, and I'll show you at the other end. And then this is the 1/4-inch tube. Okay, and you follow the 1/4-inch tube up here, and I have a valve here. So this is on. If I want to turn the water off, I just turn the valve. I forgot the water's on, so I won't mess with it because I don't want to screw it up. There we go. Okay, so I can turn the water on and off if I don't want to use this particular line. Okay, and the drip line goes out for, I want to say, at least 8 feet. And it waters plants that were planted along the drip line. And as you can see, things really filled in really nicely. How long I water varies. Honestly, the best way you can decide how long you're going to water is really just to look at your plants. I start with 10 minutes. If 10 minutes isn't long enough, I will increase the amount of time to 15 or 20. And if I notice things are doing fine, and if the rain has picked up, it's starting to be the rainy season, I'll back off. And all you can really do is just keep an eye on your plants. When they begin to see water stress, increase the amount of time you're watering. If they don't show signs of water stress, then decrease the amount of time until you see it. And then that's really the only advice I can give you on how to decide how much water to give your plants. I will tell you that for typical Florida sandy soils with a little bit of organic matter in it, a little bit of composted materials, an inch of water will spread out in 12 inches of soil. Okay, so you apply 1 inch of water through your irrigation, and then that's going to spread out for 12 inches. Okay, so that just kind of gives you an idea of what's going on with the watering. But as far as deciding how much which plants need what, that really entirely is plant dependent. And I can't tell. I mean, so far, I've never had to go more than 20 minutes. But I do water every day. If you don't want to water every day, then you are going to have to water for a longer period of time. If I wanted to water for every 2 or 3 days, I would probably run the system for 45 minutes. Okay? So let's go back to our cups because I see it's filling up. Alright? So here's my 3rd cup, and it's almost all the way up to the top. There's the water line right here. Right there. Okay. And the number of minutes that have gone by is 7 minutes. Okay. So that's a pretty long amount of time for comparing the 3. You got the 3rd one. Alright. It filled that cup up in 30 seconds. The 2nd one, it filled it up in 1.5 minutes. Alright. And the 3rd one has taken 7 minutes for it to fill up this cup. Okay, so that just kind of gives you an idea of how much water is coming out of the heads. And I mix the systems. Okay, I use these guys and I use these guys. Now what I do is per pot that I use more dripping. I'm not using just one drip head. Okay, I'm using several, and I'll show you that on the other side. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to show you for this side. Alright, let me go ahead and turn off the water for now. Actually, I'll go ahead and let it run for the rest of the 10 minutes. That way this side will get a nice good watering. And then I'll bring you over to the other side and show you the rest of my system. Okay, so while I was walking away, I heard some extra watering noises. I realized I really shouldn't be hearing it, even though the water's running. So this is the only other problem that I have run into the system, is the squirrels or rats or whoever else is doing it tend to bite in to this 1/2-inch tubing and creating little holes and thus little leaks. Now they're easy to repair. Okay, if you notice this little circle right here, this is what's called a goof plug. Alright, now each time I remove out dripper tubing, in order to change out my system, because I change it on pretty much a seasonal basis or a yearly basis. Now each time I take it out, I'm left with a little hole in my 1/2-inch tubing. The goof plug plugs it up. Okay, so what I'll end up doing is I'll have to come back here, I'll have to patch this hole up, and I'll just use a goof plug to do it, because it's pretty small, Now, if they really did some damage to this area and it became unusable, then you can actually cut out a section of the tubing and reconnect it with a coupler that they made for the 1/2-inch tubing. So it's not really a big deal. It's just cutting it and then coupling it so that they run together. Alright, so this is the southeast side of my front yard, and I have this is the hose that is coming off that valve that I showed you. I lost my stick, but I've got a piece of PVC here. Okay, so this is the hose that I showed you is coming off that valve at the spigot. Alright, now it goes to a Y valve because I wanted 2 zones over here. Alright, this is the first zone, okay, and this is my time clock for it, and then this hose goes to my second time clock for my second zone. Okay, and I have them on 2 different, going in 2 different directions, so that's why I got 2 zones over here. I'm reworking the system, yeah, again, just so I won't have too many zones. I'll probably end up with more zones. I don't know. I'm redoing the whole front yard, and so I'm going to rework this, but I'll show you what I have right now. Okay, so again, because you know, hoses and valves and things are notoriously leaky, the best way I found to stop leaks at this level, again, I used another quick connect. As long as this quick connect doesn't move, you know, because poking it is really helpful, but as long as the quick connect doesn't move, then I find that it doesn't really leak. When I did not have the quick connect there, it was leaking no matter what I did. So I put the quick connect there and it stopped pretty much the leaks. Okay, this is pretty simple time clock. It's on auto, that means it's set. Oops, oh, I forgot I broke this one. Ha. So I won't show you how to set it because I'm gonna have to fix it or replace it. Okay, but you set your clock, you set your start time. The clock is just so it knows what time it is right now. It's 8:29 in the morning. You select your start time. Usually I do either 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Those are going to be your best times to water. How long is going to be anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes because I do it every day. How often is going to be, you know, one day, every day. And then there's off, and then there's a manual button here, so if you want to run the system manually for any reason, then you can do that. Okay, so this is that water filter, and then this is that 1/2-inch tubing. Okay, so you have the hose coming off the valve, a Y valve to split it up into 2 different zones, the quick connects to stop a leak, alright, and then my timer, which goes on every day, and then my filter, and then this is my 1/2-inch tubing. Okay, so I'm going to go over to my pots, and I'm going to show you how I have the drip irrigation set up in my pots. Okay, so say hello to my peach tree. Hey, peach tree. The fruit was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed every single one of them. And, oh man, it's looking a little wilted right now because I haven't had it on irrigation. I've just been hand watering it. And I want to put it on my irrigation set. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what we got. Alright, if you come down, alright, here you got, this is that 1/2-inch tubing, okay? This is just to transport the water where you need that water to go, okay? Now, what I got here, alright, this is the 1/4-inch poly tubing right here. This is to get the water from the 1/2-inch tubing right there into the pot, which is going to be right up here. Alright, so I'm going to put one end up there, and the other end goes down here. Oh, it fell. And then inside the pot, alright, this is my drip tubing. Now this one's brown, the other one was black, okay? The brown one is the Misto Landscaper brand. The black one I got from Rainbird, so yes, I mixed the 2 systems, but they essentially work the same. Okay, so now if you notice, whoops, how I decide to do my pots. Okay, I do at the very least 1 entire loop of drip tubing for the circumference of the pot. Okay, so in this case, okay, so this is the ending, and then I come around, so there's a drip emitter here, and I go all the way around the pot at least once. Okay, so it goes all the way around back to where I started, and then I added 2 more drip tubes because this is a big pot, it's a big tree, and it's a fruit tree. So I want to make sure that it gets a fair amount of water. Now, yes, I could use the little black tubes, these guys. All right, I open this guy all the way up, and you know, it'll spray water all around, okay? But I decided to go with the drip tube on this because it doesn't have as much spray. You know, this one, you still got the water spraying out over the top. This one I can put underneath my mulch, okay? Yes, this is leaf mulch. I took it out of my oak trees in the backyard, and I use it to help keep the moisture in. And I can bury the drip tubing underneath this leaf mulch and help keep the water from evaporating off, so it's a little more water efficient, okay? I do that with the big pots, just because, again, watering efficiency is what I'm aiming for. That's why I use a drip irrigation system instead of an overhead system, a pop-up system, PVC. I mean, that's a lot of work to install, but it's also very inefficient when it comes to this type of watering. Okay, so on this end, this is the beginning end of the drip tube. This is a 1/4-inch tubing coupler, okay? Now I'm going to take this. This is going to be difficult with one hand. All right, this is my coupler. This is my 1/4-inch tubing. Goes into the coupler, okay? All right, and then, so this is my 1/2-inch tubing. I picked it up just so you could see it. All right, when I originally bought my Mr. Landscaper dripper set, it came with an orange one of these, and really all you need is just this end. It punctures the hole in the 1/2-inch tubing so that you can get your couplers into the tubing and divert your water from the tubing into the 1/4-inch tubing, which then goes into your pot, okay? So I'll show you how I install it and then I'll tell you what it does. Okay, this is the coupler, okay? This is the 1/4-inch coupler that you have. They come separately, okay? And then this is the tubing. So all I have to do with this is just puncture my hole, which is for the most part pretty easy, but since I'm holding the tube up, then, you know, it's a little more difficult. Okay, so now I've got this little tiny hole in here, and this coupler goes right inside that hole. Alright, and then I usually line it up, because they're oblong shaped these days. I usually line it up so that the oblong goes in the same direction as the tubing. Why? Because, I don't know. It makes it pretty, I guess, as opposed to being all perpendicular. If you want a perpendicular world, then you can have a perpendicular world. But I'm going with the parallel world. Okay. Now, I have used this 1/4-inch tubing before. I recycle all my tubing because I change out my system every year. Okay. And I can tell that it's been used because it's a little bit warped on this side. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it to you guys, but it just bows just a little bit, okay? I'm going to cut that off because sometimes what happens is that it comes out pretty loose on the couplers when you reuse them. So there's really no big deal. I just cut that tip off and then I push this right onto the barb, okay? That is it, okay? The peach tree is now on my irrigation system. So every morning when it goes on for, I forget how many minutes I have this side set up on, 15 minutes I think it is, or close to thereabouts, my peach tree is going to get water, okay? And what I will do is, now that it's on the drip irrigation, for the next couple weeks, I'm going to continue to observe my peach tree to make sure that it is getting an adequate amount of water. If it is not getting an adequate amount of water, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change out the drip tube. I'll take this one out and I'll put a longer one in here with more of the drip emitters in it. Now, if I wanted to, I could use both this guy and this guy if I needed, you know, the little black spikes. I could use both of them in conjunction with each other if I needed more water. If I wanted to, I could do 2 of these heads. I could put one on this side, I could put one on this side. It's just such a flexible system. This is why I love this system. I'm a big proponent of it. The only thing it takes is initial setup time, and if you're not changing out your system every year like I am, that's it. Regular maintenance is pretty easy. Once a year you clean out the filter, and then occasionally you might end up with some soil stuck inside the dripper heads, and you just take the top off, you blow it out, you clean it up, put it back on, no big deal, as long as you don't lose the top, which I did once. But that's okay, because I have plenty of other tops that I use. Alright, so that's pretty much all I got for now. I hope that was at least helpful. Go ahead, if you have any questions, post questions down at the bottom in the comments, and I will be more than happy to give you way more information than you could possibly ever want about my drip irrigation system. But I tried to keep it simple, down to something that you guys can watch in a decent amount of time. Alright, so that's all I got for today. Until then, it's always a good day in the garden. I'll see you later.